She's just here to mop the floor, not share a stage. The audience chuckled nervously as the words echoed across the glossy set of Battleline Live, a nationally broadcast martial arts competition show. The cameras were rolling. The lights were hot. And standing off to the side, clutching a mop handle, was Amira Blake, 26, slim, brown-skinned, in a faded crew t-shirt with a cleaning badge clipped crookedly to her waist. Carter Voss, the host in a designer blazer and 2 white teeth, smirked at the camera. "Tell me, Amira, do you even know the difference between a roundhouse and a round table?" She didn't answer. She blinked once. Then again. Not because she didn't know. But because she was trying not to react, to the camera in her face, to the microphone shoved toward her mouth, and to the years she'd worked to disappear. From the back of the room, assistant producer Tasha Lynn lowered her headset mic and muttered, "He doesn't know who she is, does he?" No one responded. Because what Carter Voss didn't know, what millions were about to witness, was that Amira Blake wasn't just a janitor. And this wasn't just a show. But what she did next wasn't in the script. "Come on," Carter grinned. "Just show us your best cleaning stance." The crowd laughed again. The director didn't cut, because the ratings loved this kind of drama. A spontaneous moment of humiliation. That's what they called it in the control room. Amira stepped back, her shoulders tightening under the stage light. "Leave her alone, man," someone muttered in the front row. But Carter didn't stop. "Look at her. Probably never trained a day in her life. You're standing on a mat meant for real fighters." Amira's eyes locked onto the floor, the red lines on the studio mat. She had stood on similar lines 10 years ago, barefoot, wearing a USA patch across her chest. That night, she had broken a national record. And the next day, she vanished. She remembered the lawsuit, the sponsor's betrayal, the headline that accused her of faking injuries to win by disqualification. The truth never mattered. They called her unstable, overdramatic, too loud for someone who should be grateful. Her hands tightened around the mop. Her jaw clenched. Then, without a word, she leaned the mop slowly against the camera crane and stepped toward Carter. No one knew that her next step would silence the entire studio. "Let's give her a chance," Carter chuckled to the audience. "Let's see if the cleaning crew has any kick." Amira didn't flinch. Her feet moved into position, not flashy, not for show. But grounded. Balanced. Precise. Tasha's eyes widened behind the control booth glass. "That's not how janitors stand," she whispered. Amira didn't speak. Instead, she reached up and removed her ID badge, folding it in half with calm exactness, a small action, but it hit the room like thunder. Carter blinked. "What are you doing?" She didn't answer. Her breathing had changed. Not panicked. Measured. The silence grew sharp. Then Carter took one step forward. The moment his heel touched the outer ring of the mat, Amira moved. A pivot. A sweep. A rotation so clean the camera crew missed the trigger frame. Carter Voss hit the floor with a thud that wasn't scripted. Gasps erupted. One audience member stood up. He wasn't hurt, but he wasn't standing either. Carter looked up, stunned, blinking under the lights. Who are you?" he muttered. Amira turned to face the camera. "I used to be silent," she said. "Now I'm just done letting people speak for me." And suddenly, no one was laughing anymore. The studio froze. Producers scrambled off stage. The broadcast delay timer blinked red. Carter sat on the floor, eyes wide, disbelief replacing mockery. Amira stood still, but she wasn't shrinking anymore. A man in the front row whispered, "That was a competitive throw, like textbook." "She's trained." Tasha tapped furiously on her iPad, pulling up a name she hadn't heard since college debates, Amira Blake, U.S. Junior Taekwondo Champion, 2011. Then she found the articles. The scandal. The accusations. The withdrawal. The silence. "She's that girl," Tasha whispered. Amira didn't explain. She didn't need to. Because when Carter grabbed the mic to regain control, the mic cut out. Live. Studio error. No. Tasha had flipped the mute switch. Someone had to. And in that moment of silence, Amira bent down, not to apologize, but to pick up her badge, fold it one more time, and place it gently on the host's palm. "You dropped this," she said, her voice steady. Carter didn't respond. He didn't move. No one did. But Tasha did. She stepped onto the stage, lifted the mic, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I think we just learned what real control looks like." The crowd erupted. But Amira had already stepped off camera. She didn't stay for the applause. She walked backstage, where the lights dimmed and no one chased her. By morning, the clip had gone viral, over 18 million views and counting. Not for violence. But for what wasn't said. A still frame captured the moment she turned away, the mat behind her, the studio frozen. Her shadow fell across the Battleline Live logo. The network issued a statement. Carter was on leave. But the public knew. Sponsors pulled out. Guests cancelled. And one voice began rising above the rest. She stood without saying a word. Amira didn't sue. She didn't return to TV. But the following month, she opened a free youth martial arts program called The Unmuted. No interviews. No press tour. Just a small banner above the door. You don't have to shout to be heard. Tasha still keeps that folded badge in a frame on her desk. When people ask why, she simply replies. She showed us what silence can do when it stands tall. And that day, millions learned, strength isn't always loud. But it is unforgettable. She didn't raise her voice, but she raised the standard for how dignity should look under pressure. Amira Blake didn't fight back to win a spotlight, she stood up so others wouldn't have to kneel. In a world quick to dismiss quiet people, her calm became a revolution. If her story made you feel something, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more stories that speak even when words fail.